One. Hey guys, it's Logan again. Welcome back to another tutorial on creating an advanced platformer in GameMaker Studio 2. In this video, we're going to be animating our jetpack and also setting up some idle animations that we'll be programming in the next video. And the reason we're going to do it in the next video is it's going to be pretty lengthy. There's actually quite a bit to it. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is open up our jetpack sprite and then go into edit the image and turn your grid on. We're gonna have to do this a lot in this video, so get used to hitting that snap function. Then I'm gonna hit S for select, and we're actually gonna move our jetpack up 1 unit, 1 pixel. I guess we can call it a unit because technically we're moving it up 4 pixels. And this will give us more room to work with our jetpack sprite, and it really still looks fine in game. So if you go in game now and run it, it'll still look good. If you liked how it looked better before, move it back down and just work with those 2 pixels for your flame. It should work just fine as well. Okay, so now that we have our jetpack, let's name this one to jetpack off, because this is going to be our off state. We don't have to worry about transitioning through any frames. And now let's duplicate it. So Control D while it's selected, and F2, we're going to rename it. Well, you don't have to hit F2, just open it up. Let's rename it to S Player Jetpack On. This is where you'll be doing your animation. Now, you can mess around with this flame. I'm going to show you a basic little animation, but you can really play with it and get it to look better. So let's go ahead and turn our snapping on. I'm going to turn my alpha down. And let's create our red. And for our red, remember, our player sprite's not too saturated if you followed the colors like I did. If your player is saturated, then you might want to use a more saturated color here. But I'm going to select a red, and then I'm going to desaturate it by 10. So when you click this box, you can see the saturation decreases by 10. So I have a saturation around 80 on a red color, which is going to give me a little bit of a pinkish tone. And I'm going to increase my brush size. And I'm going to do the base flame. So actually this might be too desaturated. Or not desaturated, but let me move it up. And it's a little bit too desaturated. Maybe a saturation of 90 is good. It's a little bit much. Let's do 85 on the saturation if you're all the way to the left on the red. Yeah, I like that. That looks good. And this yellow right here, if it's default in your guys' editor also, I like quite a bit for our yellow. And then that'll be our initial flame, and I'm gonna go up here, hit Control C, Control V to copy and paste, and then I'm gonna select the red and I'm gonna make a darker tone, quite a bit darker. We're gonna turn our saturation down slightly by let's go to 76. So I decreased our saturation by 4, and then decrease our value by 10. Maybe even 20, and move our hue towards purple. So 1 step over to the left. That should give us a nice shade. And remember, this is one way of creating darker shades without just decreasing the value. And it gives you more interesting colors and still looks quite nice. So basically I'm going to be sending this dark streak through our flame, and that's just going to be our animation. So if we were actually moving deleting these pixels, and it's a little bit too vivid on the eyes, just because 1 pixel is so much at this resolution. So what we can actually do is just send colors through our image and still give it that animated feel. And originally what you saw in like the preview video of this tutorial, I only had 1 frame. You can actually use 1 frame and it looks quite good. And when we add a sound in there, it'll give it, okay, the jetpack's going. You can do that if you want, leave it at 1 frame, no big deal, or we can animate it, you can mess around. Okay, so let's copy and paste this, and then let's move our I hit D for my pencil again, and let's move this down, select our other red, and you'll see I just moved that dark color down one. And actually, let's color the bottom pixel also. Or should we leave it for the next frame? Let's leave it for the next frame, actually. And then let's bring like a darker yellow down, or even like a white. A white might look cool. So let's bring a white through, and then copy and paste this frame. You see I have a white at the top, and I brought that dark red down. And now I'm gonna put a dark red at the tip, so it's like it moved down the flame. And let's bring our white down. Hopefully this is that yellow. Let's find that yellow that we previously had in our recently used colors and put it at the top pixel. And then, well, what'd I do here? I got these switched around somehow. Okay, so let's make sure it's there, middle, bottom, and the next frame it all should be gone. Okay, so let's run this animation actually. And let's run it at like speed 9. Let's let it speed 10 possibly. That looks pretty cool. Maybe faster might be better, but we'll leave it here for now. That looks pretty good, I think. We can zoom out to see kind of what it'll look like. Maybe that's not quite fast enough. 15 might work. The actual white isn't too vivid in the flame, so maybe a darker color would have been better, but I'll leave it here for now. You guys can experiment with it. You might, instead of that white, try a darker yellow or something that'll run through, because that white's not showing up real well against that yellow. So that's up to you guys. I'm going to leave it there for now, though. And don't worry about animating smoke on it. We're going to use particles for a smoke effect later on. Okay, so now that we have our jetpack on and jetpack off, we're going to be creating the eye movements. And I'm actually going to be separating the different eye states into separate sprites. It's going to make it way easier to where they're single images, so we don't have to mess around with image speeds and resetting our sprite's image speed every time that we have different eye movements. And I'll show you what I mean. So let's go ahead and create a folder under our player sprites and call it idle animation or idle images. Let's go ahead. I renamed my player to idle, I believe, or maybe you guys, actually I think it's idle for you guys too. So just make sure it's named idle, and I'm gonna move it up to the, I'm gonna keep it at the bottom, I guess. I'm gonna go ahead and create a jetpack group 2. Jetpack images, and I'm gonna click one of the jetpacks, hold down shift, click the other one, it's going to select both, and move them into the jetpack images. Alright, so what we want is an idle image to initially set our sprite in with no extra frames, and then we're going to make the blinking animation. This one is going to be a complete animation, so hit Control D, I mean, to create a duplicate. F2, we'll name it sPlayer idle blink. This will be the blinking animation. It's really simple, looks really good. So let's go into that. Okay, so I cut the video and made some changes. So we're at our player blink. Now let's open up the edit image. Sorry for the weird transition. I know it's going to be weird by the time I edit this. So I got a recommendation in the comments to use layers for this kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So what we're going to do is separate the eyes in a separate layer. Make sure you're snapped. Open up your snapping. And I'm going to decrease my alpha for my grid so I don't see it quite as well. And we're going to put these eyes in a separate layer in this image. I got to increase my brush size. So what I'm going to do is use the select tool, and I'm going to select this eye section, okay? I'm going to hit Control C, and now it made a brush in our brushes. I don't know why this jetpack's here, to be honest. Let me go ahead and delete that one. So now we have our eyes and our brushes, so it'll be saved for future. Let's go back to our original 1x1 brush and increase the size again. And let's delete the eyes from the original player. Actually, yeah, let's go ahead and delete it. And let's remember they start 3 pixels below the top of the head. So we're gonna go ahead and delete the eyes here. And grab the light blue, delete the eyes. And then I'm going to add a new layer down here. After the eyes are deleted and it looks like this, let's add a new layer. And let's hit F2 and rename this layer to player eyes. And the recommendation was for the head bob to have the head in a separate layer, but I'll show you how to use it for the eyes. And now let's click our little eye brush that got saved here. And we can place that over the top here. And I'm not sure why the eyes are looking discolored like this. Let's see, edit layer properties. That's odd. Normal blend mode. Okay, let me see. White. Okay, so the reason was we had that light blue selected and it kind of blends the image with the color you currently have selected. So select white and then you could click and we have the eyes back. So now we have the eye layer. And now what we can do is go back to our 1x1 brush, set the size to 4. We're back here. And now we can hit the eraser tool and we can just erase the pieces of the eyes without affecting the underlying image. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to copy paste 4 frames and we're going to start on the second frame. So I hit Control C to copy, Control V to paste 3 times. We're going to go to the second frame. We're going to delete 1 pixel from the top and bottom of the eye. And then we're actually going to delete the same for the third frame. And we're actually going to recolor this eye section to like a dark blue. So you can still select colors from the underlying layer. So I hit Control and selected that dark blue color. And then we're actually going to click this box right here to edit the color. And we're going to make a darker version. So we're going to decrease our value by, let's decrease it by 5. So I'm going to take it to 55. Whatever yours is at, decrease the value by 5. Keep the saturation. Let's increase the hue by clicking the next box towards purple. Remember, towards purple is going to a darker shade. And then we're just going to color over his eyes right here. It's going to give him a little bit of a eyelid thing. And I'm actually going to delete this last image. And I'm going to copy and paste the eyes half open image and move it to the end. So we have this order. And if we run it, set our speed to 10, hit play, and in game it's going to look really nice. So that'll be our little blinking. You'll see it's going to look really cool in game. All right, so that's it for that. I'm going to give you all a second to pause the video if you need to. I'm going to run through each animation so you could pause on the one you need if you do need. So have the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. All right, so hopefully you caught up and let's keep moving. So next we're going to be doing our idle states, or not our idle states, but our eye states, our eyes shifting. You can make as many of these as you want, and I'll show you how to add them in code, and you'll be able to follow along just fine. So be creative. Any kind of idle state you want, you'll be able to make as long as it's a 1 frame state, and it'll look nice. Okay, so let's go to our idle, our S-player idle, and duplicate it. And actually, we're under idle images, we're going to add a new group. So let's add a group. Let's call it I'm going to call mine variations. Idle, and it's under the idle images, so it's obviously an idle state, and we're going to call it eye variations. And we have the blink, idle, and then let's name this F2 idle. I move 1. That's what I'm going to call it. or just I move. And then we're gonna duplicate this. Let's say 5 times. I'll show you how to make 5 different ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm actually gonna leave our, let's not leave that. Okay, so let's move into our first I move and edit image. And we're gonna just change the eye around a little bit. Remember, we're gonna have to redo our grid once again. Come on, GameMaker. I hope one of the devs watch this. Probably not. Please someone make them know to be able to save these values. It's a big deal. Okay, and if we duplicated the original idle image, we're not gonna have the layers. That's fine. I was just showing you how to do that. You could do the layers on these if you wanted also, and I'm sure you could figure that out. So let's select the pupil and we'll just move it to the top right. I'm gonna go pretty fast here. Just watch it and then you can do it yourself. Remember holding control to select the original colors and erasing the original pupil. Now we have kind of a looking up to the left. I'm gonna go to the next one, edit image, select the pupil, down, I gotta reset this stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then down to the right is what I'm gonna use. All right, and then when I get to one that's interesting, I'll slow down so you can see how it's done. I'm gonna make it look towards us, so I'm gonna move the pupil into the, I'm actually just probably gonna color this in instead of changing everything. There we go. Maybe this wasn't faster actually, because now I'm gonna have to, that wasn't a good idea, the worst idea. Okay, I'm gonna select the white, and I'm gonna delete the pupils, or the original pupils. Now he's kind of looking at us. And then I'm gonna go to the next one. I'm gonna reset the grid on this one. I'm gonna do something a little bit more interesting. I'm actually gonna like decrease, I'm gonna select that dark blue and I'm gonna decrease one of his eyes. He's gonna kind of look annoyed or like what's going on, that kind of look. So when we zoom out, and then I get rid of this dang grid, he's kind of like has that winking look. It's kind of cool. And then let's do one more and you'll see how that looks. Hopefully you could pause it. And then let's do one more. Let's see, we have him looking at us, up to the left, middle, right. Let's see, edit image. I'm gonna reset my grid. What else could we do here? Decrease my grid size, increase my brush size to 4. Let's see, maybe make him look even more kind of like, I'm annoyed, why are you having me sitting here idle? And something kind of like that. Actually, I'm gonna do the eyelid thing again. And now he's kind of like, has his eyes kind of wincing, like what's going on, I'm bored. All right, so now we're giving him some character, and that's all I think we're gonna do in this video. Let's go ahead and rename them. I have I move, oh yeah, let's rename it to 1. Oh crap, let's rename the second one to I move 2 first. Then F2 is how I'm doing this. I move 3, I move 4, I move 5, I move 1, and we're at 20 minutes on the video. It's gonna take me forever to render already, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and like I said, you can add as many of these states, be as creative as you want. You might not want to make huge body transitions because it might look weird unless we'd have to do some extra programming to make the animation play and then stop on a certain state. But you can make slight changes, maybe his ears move a little bit. Be as creative as you want with it. And in the next video, I'll show you how to implement all this in code, and it's going to be it's actually pretty in-depth. Not in-depth, but it's probably the most complicated thing we've done yet, maybe. But yeah, we'll see. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.